My name is Aaron. I'm a pastor at Family Worship Center in Colorado, and I'm here to talk about the mission of the church in the modern world. I want to set one thing straight right out of the gate. The mission of the church today is the same as it has always been. The world has changed, but our mission hasn't. However, I do believe that strategies and tactics may have changed based on the culture around us. So let's dive in. Evangelism today is a challenge, but it's also an incredible opportunity. The world has changed in many ways, but the call to spread the gospel has remained the same. We often think of evangelism as something that happens inside the walls of a church, with neatly organized programs and events. But in the world we live in today, we have to remember that evangelism is more about breaking down walls and building bridges. It's about bringing the gospel to where people live, work, and engaging with them around the world. In John chapter 4, Jesus shows us how to do that. When he meets the Samaritan woman at the well, he crosses several barriers to reach her. First, he crosses a cultural and ethnic barrier. Jews had no dealings with Samaritans, yet Jesus didn't hesitate to engage her in conversation. The woman herself was taken back by Jesus' request. How is it that you, a Jew, ask for a drink from me, a Samaritan woman? John 4:9. Jesus' willingness to cross these cultural boundaries to reach her shows us the heart of evangelism. It's not about staying in the comfortable spaces, but it's about reaching out into unfamiliar territories, breaking down walls of division. Today, we are still called to do the same. We live in a world that is more divided than ever. Culturally, politically, socially, it's easy to stay within our comfort zones, but true evangelism requires us to step out and meet people where they are, even if it means crossing barriers. This might look like engaging with someone of a different faith, race, background, or just simply offering kind words in a world that's increasingly hostile. Just like Jesus, we have to reach out and meet people in their context, whether it's online, at work, or in our communities. But the barriers don't stop there. In that same encounter, Jesus also crossed gender barriers. In his time, Jewish men would not publicly engage with women, but Jesus wasn't concerned with social norms. He engaged with the Samaritan woman with respect, kindness, and truth. Jesus wasn't afraid to engage with the person society deemed unworthy of attention, showing us that evangelism isn't about who we think deserves it, but about meeting people where they are, regardless of status or identity. Then there's the religious barrier. Jesus asks the woman for a drink, even though sharing utensils with Samaritan women would have made him ritually unclean in the eyes of the Jewish religious system. Yet he did it. Jesus did not allow religious customs to keep him from fulfilling his mission. The message here is clear. True evangelism is not about upholding religious rules of the church, it's about crossing those lines to bring people into life changing truth of the gospel. We are living in a world where many people feel like they don't belong in church. They feel out of place or judged before they even walk through the door. For many, even the idea of stepping into church feels like crossing a personal barrier. But as Jesus did, we are called to go to them. We must be willing to enter the world, meet them where they are, and invite them into a relationship with Christ. And this might mean showing up in places where the church has never been before, engaging with people in ways that are authentic and real. As we think about the world today, consider the words of William Barclay. Here is God so loving the world, not in theory, but in action. Evangelism is not a task to check off a list or an event to plan. It's an invitation into the love of Christ made real through our actions. We need to be the church that reaches out with genuine care and compassion, crossing barriers to bring the message of hope to everyone. Dallas Willard reminds us that discipleship is the process of becoming who Jesus would be if he were you. This means that our calling as followers of Christ is not to make converts, but to disciple others, to show them what it means to live out the love of Jesus in their own lives. Evangelism and discipleship go hand in hand. It's not just about giving people information, it's about walking with them, helping them grow, demonstrating the radical love of Christ in every interaction. Evangelism today also means embracing the digital age. In an era where people spend more time online than ever before, the church has to be ready to meet people where they are, whether that's social media, podcasts, or just online communities. But the message remains the same. It's not just about sharing content, it's about building relationships, having real conversations, and offering people the hope and the peace that only Jesus can give. In the end, evangelism is not a one time event, it's not a program, it's a lifestyle. It's about living the gospel in every moment, crossing boundaries, building relationships. It's about looking beyond the surface and seeing people as God sees them, lost, broken, in need of His grace. And we are called to go to them just as Jesus went to the woman at the well. So, as we go about our lives, let's remember that we are called to be fishers of men, not as a title, but as a way of life. Jesus didn't just call us to follow him, he called us to be transformed by him. And that's what evangelism is all about, sharing the love of Christ with others and inviting them to follow him.